Want to lose weight fast? Really fast? Maybe you've already tried keto or vegan or carnivore or paleo, and maybe you did lose weight, but then you gained it all back. Yeah, that's not bad luck. That's actually what usually happens. Research shows us that most people regain about 70 to 75% of the weight they lose on a diet. So if you lose 50 pounds, well, you might regain back almost 40 of those pounds, meaning long term, you didn't really lose 50 pounds. Maybe you lost just about 10. And that's the part nobody tells you. And it's so frustrating because you did everything right. Now, real quick, if you're tired of this diet roller coaster and you just want to learn a smarter way to lose weight and keep it off, I'll be hosting a free live webinar where I teach exactly how to do this in very simple steps. You want to grab your spot and register at the link below this video. The spots are limited and you do not want to miss this free webinar. Okay, so most people assume that the weight comes back because the weight loss was too fast, or that slow weight loss must be better, right? That kind of sounds logical, but surprisingly, research shows us that whether people lose weight fast or slow, most people still regain a similar amount of weight back. So at first glance, it looks like the speed itself doesn't actually matter. But here's the missing piece that almost everybody ignores. Not all weight loss is the same. And this is where everything changes. Now, when the scale goes down, you can lose water or muscle or fat or all three. But only one of these things will actually help your metabolic health long term. And that is, of course, the fat loss. That's what most of us want to be targeting. Because if you lose mostly water and muscle, well, your metabolism, it actually gets slower and your body becomes better at regaining the weight back. Not the muscle and the water, but the fat. And the science shows us something very important. So listen, gradual, steady weight loss preserves our metabolism and our metabolic health. It actually leads to more true fat loss. And that fast, extreme weight loss, well, it also can increase muscle loss. And so studies like the one that's here on the screen show that in certain populations, like in postmenopausal women, rapid weight loss tends to lead to even greater loss of lean body mass, in other words, muscle, which is the tissue that keeps our metabolism strong in the first place. So yeah, that scale might drop pretty quickly, but your long-term engine will get weaker. And that's exactly why weight keeps coming back. So if extreme dieting is what slows your metabolism and slow, steady fat loss is actually what protects it, the real question then becomes, well, what is the most reliable way to actually lose fat specifically without breaking our metabolism down? So this is where my favorite approach to weight loss really comes into play, which is the Mediterranean approach. And it is completely different from everything else. It's not because it's trendy, because it's really not a trend, but because it actually aligns with how your body is designed to work. When I teach weight loss the Mediterranean way, we do not chase speed. We rebuild the body from the inside out, and not just for weight loss, but for heart health and brain health and metabolic health and hormone balance and your immune system function and longevity. Because here's the truth. If the way you're losing weight doesn't also improve your overall health, well, your body will eventually fight back. Now, some of you might be sitting there right now thinking, that's happened to me. This is super, super common. And as a medical doctor, I can tell you, I see this play out in my patients' health all the time. So instead of obsessing over calories or timelines, I instead teach people to start looking at weight loss through a health promoting lens, because it's actually a win-win that way. And that means thinking about 5 key areas, but not as rules or restrictions, instead as 5 systems that really work together. So what we're going to do right now is break them down one by one and walk through each of them. So what is key area number 1? It starts with the right foods. And yeah, the details here actually matter. So now, if you're watching this video and you've heard of the Mediterranean diet before, you might be thinking, okay, I know it's a diet, right? It's famous for the olive oil and the fish with all those omega-3 fatty acids, those heart-healthy fats, and lots of fresh produce, vegetables, and fruits, and all the herbs and the spices. Think of Spanish or Southern French or Italian or Greek cuisines, foods that are rich in antioxidants and anti-inflammatory anti-inflammatory properties. So all of this actually does matter, medically speaking. Why? Because all of those foods together play a key role in lowering inflammation in the body, improving our cholesterol markers, improving and protecting our cardiovascular health and our blood vessels, supporting our insulin sensitivity, reducing the risk of things like heart attacks and strokes, and protecting our brain health and decreasing our risk for things like dementia when we get older. So yes, food quality alone will already start shifting your disease risk dramatically. But here's the problem with this. You can eat all the healthy foods you want all day long, but still struggle with hunger, cravings, and weight regain. Why? Because food quality alone is really not enough. Doesn't cut it. Which brings us to the most important missing piece. And this is key area number 2, where you have to put all those foods together correctly. And this is what I like to call eating balanced or having a balanced meal. So this is the part that almost nobody teaches correctly. And I see so many videos on social media and channels like YouTube right here where people are just missing the main point. So here it is. It is not enough to just eat healthy. You actually have to eat balanced. So what does that mean? Balance is actually what controls our hunger, our blood sugar, our cravings, our energy, and our fat storage and fat loss hormones. This is why I like to teach what I call the perfect meal formula. So what is it? Instead of just random good foods all the time or healthy foods, we intentionally try to combine 4 elements. And these are proteins, healthy fats, fiber-rich carbohydrates, and natural health-promoting flavors, things like spices and herbs. And if we do this in the right proportions, you will stay full longer. Thus, your blood sugar will be more stable because you're snacking less and maybe your cravings are going to drop down. And all of that leads to more stable energy balance. And overall, doing this really supports our body to feel safe enough to actually burn the fat. One of the biggest challenges people have is that they're putting their body in a state of stress when they're doing extreme dieting. And this is going to make fat loss long-term impossible. It will not sustain. So if you'd like to learn exactly how to build meals in this way, I have a free guide called the Perfect Meal Formula ebook. It walks you step by step through how to build meals that actually support your fat loss. And you can grab a copy in the link below this video. So now here's the part that surprises most people. Some of the most powerful Mediterranean benefits actually have nothing to do with food or eating at all. You might be thinking, what does that mean? I thought we were talking about another diet here. Nope, not true. The thing is, the Mediterranean approach is all about how people live. And how people live includes a lot of different factors that don't just improve our health, they actually make the weight loss stick long term. Because they're directly affecting our stress hormones and our appetite and our insulin sensitivity, our immune health, our fat storage signals, and really importantly, our emotional eating patterns. So we're going to talk about the big ones right now and break these down. And this is kind of our key area number 3. After thinking through eating healthy foods and putting them together in a balanced meal, well, now we have to address these other areas. So sleep. Sleep is really not optional for weight loss. Big newsflash if you didn't know that. If you are undersleeping, fat loss will become an uphill battle. That is guaranteed. When sleep is low, we know that our hunger hormones go up, our satiety or our fullness signals go down, cravings for fast sugars like carbs and snacks increase dramatically. This is going to worsen our insulin resistance if that's what we're already dealing with. And overall, this is going to stimulate a lot of stress in the body, which stimulates stress hormones. So your body would literally be pushing you towards a state of weight gain if you're undersleeping. Now, in the Mediterranean regions, rest is somewhat protected. A lot of people are familiar with this concept of a siesta. It comes from the Spanish cultures of taking a big afternoon nap and a break from the workday. So yeah, midday rest is kind of normal there. And the body has a chance to recover. That recovery is actually part of why metabolism is thought to stay healthier longer, which is pretty fascinating. But sleep is not all that matters when it comes to doing the Mediterranean approach correctly. We have to think about now key area number 4, which is staying social. And this is actually affecting our weight too. Here's what I mean. This one is usually shocking for people to think about. We know that social isolation or loneliness increases things like our stress hormone cortisol, rates of depression, a lot of emotional behaviors that lead to things like overeating or binging, and lots of inflammation in the body. Lonely people don't just feel worse. worse. Unfortunately, their metabolism takes a hit too. It often starts to function worse. And so Mediterranean cultures tend to protect this, and they emphasize staying very socially engaged. That's why it's famous in places like Italy or Greece, where you could easily have a 3-hour dinner with a huge table of people in your town or your family, and everybody's sharing and laughing and talking and dancing, and you're just having a sense of community and connection, sharing joy. And all of that emotional stability is directly lowering our stress-driven weight gain, believe it or not. So it's ironic that you think having a longer meal might induce larger meals, and that's not really what our research has showed us. It's actually when we take our time overall in the day, we tend to eat less. And some of that is thought to be because being socially engaged plays a big role there. So that is not the only thing that matters. We then have to think about the typical things we have to do when we're trying to be healthy and fit and lose weight. And that's getting a lot of movement in. Yes, that good old exercise, but not only regular gym sessions or fitness classes. I'm talking about the natural daily movement that really preserves muscle health and metabolism. So the goal is not to punish yourself by working out hard. I think a lot of people, for example, in the US, get this really twisted. The goal is actually to preserve our muscle mass, which can be done in so many ways. Now, muscle is really our blood sugar sponge. It's kind of this metabolic engine of our body. It's thought of as our longevity tissue. It has a protection for being independent in older age and protecting against things like having a fall and breaking a bone, which we know leads to significant health decline in older folks. Now, Mediterranean movement, you could think of it like any of the above: walking, lifting things, gardening, doing physical labor outside, moving up and down the stairs, just taking a stroll in your town. Overall, just sitting way less, because this kind of activity protects our metabolism without burning it out. You usually are not going to see older folks in the Mediterranean region of the world going in and out of the gym. They don't even necessarily have a gym. They've been living this way for decades, if not hundreds or thousands of years. And yes, I know this because I spent 6 years living in Italy. It's where I went to medical school. And it's a beautiful thing to see how engaged and physical people stay well into their 80s or 90s over there. Very motivational. Okay, but beyond the physical activity, the movement, then we have to kind of offset that with taking enough time to relax. And not just about sleeping. I'm talking about things that really bring us joy and satisfaction in life. They're kind of like certain therapies for our body and our weight balance, because most weight regain really just doesn't happen at the table only. It actually happens here when we're stressed out, when we're anxious, when we're sad, when we're overwhelmed, when we're exhausted, when we're burned out. That is what leads us to binge and grab fast calories like fast food and chips and cookies and cake and pretzels. And we stop cooking and we stop caring for ourselves. And the Mediterranean lifestyle really protects joy and slowing down and doing things like just enjoying the sunshine, people watching, listening to some live music. Nothing in particular that you would think of as part of a weight loss strategy, but actually all of that activity really helps calm our body down. So no, this is not just fluff. This is kind of like medicine for your nervous system. So here's why this all actually keeps weight off long term. Let's put this all together for a second. When you combine the right foods in a balanced meal, in a way of eating that is balanced and supportive of getting full and eating less overall throughout the day, plus you pair that with proper sleep and social connection, daily movement, and stress management and things that help relax you, well, you're not just going to lose weight. You're going to create this internal safety system for yourself. And that is where the body will feel safe enough to actually burn the fat that is trying to actually protect you. When you think evolutionarily, like what fat is all about, is a form of protection. So you have to let your body know that it doesn't need to protect you anymore. You're safe to lose the fat. This will allow our hormones to recalibrate and our hunger will normalize. Our cravings will quiet down and the energy starts to stabilize. And weight loss stops feeling like something that you're fighting. If you are fighting it, you are approaching it all wrong. That is actually why the Mediterranean approach really works long term. It's not because it's fast, it's because it's biologically aligned. Now, Reminder that if you'd like me to walk you through this entire system step by step for how you can actually start doing all of these strategies, from the food to the meals to the habits to the long-term fat loss, I teach this in a very in-depth, simple way to understand in my free upcoming live weight loss webinar. It is educational, it is real, it is practical. Don't forget, I have a link below this video where you can join and grab your spot, and you want to do that before all the spots fill up. So think about this. The smarter question is no longer, how fast can I lose weight? Can I lose 20 pounds in 20 days? Well, it actually becomes, how do I lose weight in a way that my body does not want to fight back? That is how you stop the weight regain, and that's how you protect your metabolism. That is also how weight loss becomes sustainable. It's not faster, it's smarter. Now, if this helped you see weight loss completely differently, I want you to tap that like button because it really helps send this message out to more folks who really deserve to hear it. And I would love to hear from you guys. Have you ever lost weight really fast and then gained it all back? Drop it in the comments below. I guarantee you there are at least a dozen of you listening that have had the exact same experience. And then when you're ready, jump into my next video up here where I will take your weight loss to the next level in the most healthful way possible. I'll see you over there.